What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to break it down, what's affecting it today, where it might be going next, and everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoundHound is down 0.94%, 1251 the low, 1312 the high, and kind of low volume. So market's almost closing in about 1 hour, and there's 12.2 million shares being traded. Of that, though, you can kind of see these are some of the transactions occurring on the secondary market. You did have one buy for 2.46 million, and that most likely was kind of the culprit on why it did pop. Everything else, unfortunately, today has been institutions selling, and there really hasn't been that much macro data. So today, nothing really coming out today to kind of impact the broader market. Rather, the market's throwing a little bit more of a hissy fit, and it's still somewhat unsure about the upcoming December 10th, so 2 days away, interest rate decision. So you have a lot of analysts really spreading some FUD and saying that this is pretty much the first time ever that we have not been 100% fully committed to a cut. And what I mean by that is right now there is a 89.9% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. Every other time we've done and had a rate cut, we've been at 100%. We knew that it was going to happen weeks in advance. This time, we're kind of like, yeah, it makes sense to have a cut, but we're still unsure. So this is one thing that's causing some volatility today. And then aside from that, there really hasn't been that much in news associated to SoundHound. Last news did come out on December the 4th, just saying that they're going to be participating at the Barclays annual Global Tech Conference on the 11th. So that could be something to pay attention to, but I think generally there's been a lot of negative things coming out. Nothing crazy, and a lot of it has been indirect, such as this, which I did bring up, how Daniel Ives kind of cut SoundHound from his ETF. And so right here shows all the stocks, top 30 most innovative stocks that he feels were worthy of being in his ETF. And yeah, SoundHound was there. It just clearly maybe it was just too safe or whatever else. He didn't really elaborate on exactly why, and still post SoundHound earnings, he's yet to give a new updated rating. So we generally know that he's not satisfied with SoundHound. We just don't exactly know why. So he hasn't really provided any clarity on that. And one thing that did come out on Friday that really affected Lucid's stock price, caused it to go down, what was it, like 6+%, was this. So a very large account on YouTube, 4.16 million, kind of gave some bad reviews of Lucid. Went over a lot of issues, some software and various things, but this right here, for those of you that are interested, roughly around that 10-minute mark, this is where he kind of says that the Lucid Assist, which aka is SoundHound, that it's useless and it's absolutely dismal in comparison to Tesla, for instance. So in general, again, a lot of negative indirect things that potentially could really impact SoundHound, but this is something that I've kind of looked into it a little bit deeper after this video, and there is something called a Lucid Owners Forum where I guess people and current owners bring up issues and see if they can kind of troubleshoot it themselves. But looks like a lot of people don't like the Lucid Assist, even though when I test drove the Lucid Gravity, I loved it. It was solid, to me at least. So I don't know if there was a new update or a different variation of the Lucid Assist between the Lucid Air versus the Gravity, but this is something that SoundHound really brought up as like the next big thing. So it's kind of interesting that you see the SoundHound saying that this is kind of the next big thing for the auto industry, and then now you have kind of a lot of Lucid investors and owners not really satisfied with it. So again, I just wanted to kind of bring this up. I personally don't really see it being that big of a reason to sell SoundHound just yet, nor is it a reason to buy. But if, for instance, you get a lot of negative ratings, then yeah, that might be a natural deterrent for more business. And I know this is something that SoundHound mentioned, just the auto industry is going to be growing at a very substantial rate. So let me know your general thoughts on that. So like I said, nothing really crazy or positive to really bring up, aside from let's say we do get that 25 basis point cut for the upcoming December 10th meeting. If Powell hints to a following cut for the January 28th meeting, similar to what Bessent mentioned, that would be a pretty good catalyst in my opinion. So that could be coming on Wednesday, of course. Aside from that, looking at shorts, they are returning 111,000 shares. 30.68% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 116.2 million shares overall being shorted. DTC sitting at 2.4 days, so it does signal that shorts are fairly overextended. Aside from that, looking at the options, 2.4 million in calls, 879,000 in puts, and then 44% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around $14, $14 to $14.50 by the end of this Friday, and then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub kind of $11.50 to $12. So it's kind of back and forth a little bit, so we'll have to wait and see. Clearly the bears are hedging that Powell might be all doom and gloomish and potentially not cut a rate, which would be kind of crazy if you ask me. But aside from that, these are some of the transactions that did occur on the dark pool above $100,000. So there wasn't too many as far as transactions, so most of which are linked to shorts as well as hedge funds, as who primarily uses the dark pool. So again, something just to keep in mind. With it right now at 12.66, it is trading currently between these 2 points, so this R1 and the pivot. $13 is going to be that next strong target / resistance, and it kind of did momentarily when it spiked first thing, break above that. So that $13 I wouldn't really consider a strong resistance point, and then 12.23 is going to be the next strong support, and that has yet to be hit. So just kind of watch for a lot of those for those of you that want to day trade, swing trade, or whatever else. So just take a mental note and image of that. Aside from all that fun stuff on the actual chart, even though today is consolidating, it's still not down and out whatsoever. The reason why it's also getting suppressed is based on the stochastic RSI. It is considered overbought. And so any stock in an overbought status, and you have some negative news, whether it be macro or specific to the company, come out, you see obviously some consolidation. So I think that's also one thing that's really affecting SoundHound. Looking at the market position, you see a little bit more willing buyers still, and no different than what I mentioned in my last video. All SoundHound needs is a nice gentle push. That is it. Just a gentle nudge moving forward, break past these strong sellers, and then it could easily move back to these points right here, so that 100-day moving average. There really hasn't been that much in articles though, kind of talking about SoundHound, nor has there been any new analyst ratings. So these are some of the latest ones, so nothing too significant. Last one was D.A. Davidson, then H.C. Wainwright on November the 18th, and then November the 7th. So at the end of the day, like I said, I think there's just people are waiting to see what is coming next, and the market really wants rate cuts to be that next big thing, and hopefully we see some positive news coming from the upcoming fireside chat later this week, or they just put out some good operational news just to give us a quick update on how Q4 is actually going. So let me know your general thoughts on SoundHound. Are you buying? Are you selling? Do you think that, for instance, Daniel Ives cutting from his ETF is a big deal, or do you not really care? Like, what's your kind of viewpoint out on that? And then when it comes down to this, I guess, review, do you think that, and I think in general, like if people really did piece together what Lucid Assist was truly all about, meaning it was SoundHound, I feel like SoundHound would actually have gone down quite a lot, because even just generally how negative this whole video was about Lucid, that caused Lucid to go down like a solid 5-6% because of 4.16 million subscribers all seeing this. So let me know your viewpoint. Do you think either of these are reasons to panic, or are they just good FYIs? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Most recently was this stock right here, kind of consolidating a little bit, but I did give this a buy signal when it was at $13, now sitting at $19.11, had a high of $19.84. And so pop over there, take a look where I kind of see things going, but a lot of bangers such as that, so definitely worthwhile to check that out. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.